Yo, what is going on, guys? Frankie Trades here, bringing you another new weekly stock watch list. Before we get started, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We really appreciate that. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into the watch list. So, as far as earnings this week goes, the biggest thing that everyone in the entire world will be keeping their eyes out for is Nvda. They report after close on Wednesday, so I'm expecting some slowness in the market just because Nvda is one of the top semiconductor companies in the entire market, and it also has the largest market cap in the entire market, so pulling ahead of Apple and Microsoft. So that is something to keep in mind this week. It could be slow. Who knows? It could still be a pretty exciting week, even with Nvda having earnings leading up to it. So we'll just have to wait and see how things go. So as far as the watch list goes, there really isn't too much going on, if I'm being honest. You guys know how the market has been recently, so there's really not much to really talk about. As far as support levels, we haven't created any bases. We haven't created any important supports yet. It's really just looking at the most, as far as like finding a support, if you're looking at any downside for the day, it really just comes down to pre-market. Did we create some sort of base and bounce off of it from pre-market? If we come back down, could that be a possible breakdown from an area that could drop the market? Who knows, right? For the meantime, like I said, I'm keeping things simple like I have been. 29,800, anything above there on NQ I'm interested on. There's no trend lines that I've seen that could get in the way. So like I said, keeping things very simple, obviously really far away, around 600 points away from the high on NQ. So either looking at that or maybe even something below 29,900, or when we had this aggressive drop on, what was this, Tuesday, anything below 28,800 could be a possibility too, right? Who knows? Like I said, nothing's really too clear. I'm keeping things very broad because nothing's very certain yet as far when it comes to charting on these bigger time frames, and even on the smaller time frames, there really isn't anything too certain until we kind of get like an idea from pre-market. So that's what I'm looking at for NQ and ES. It's kind of the same story with ES here. So ES obviously all-time high at 75.40. We are roughly 140 points away on that. So for the meantime on ES, I'm looking at anything below 7,400, and kind of the same idea here with NQ, where we have this giant candle here. So anything below maybe 73.60 here, right? As far as the upside goes, far away, but it's something I'm going to be looking at for the week as the week progresses and goes on. So that's what I'm keeping an eye out for on ES. Now, as far as stocks go, we'll talk about MU first. MU being on everyone's watch list nowadays. Trend followers. That's what a bunch of you guys are trend followers. You guys didn't like MU before it started doing all this volatile stuff now. But MU here, I am looking at I believe it's the 706 area. Yeah, 706, 707. It got heavily bought here. So I'm keeping an eye out for on MU and seeing if this is weak or ahead of the market and seeing where this could take us. I know we've had a bunch of good news over the weekend, so who knows where the market could head. You guys know how the market's been over the weekend, so anything can happen, right? It can have a massive gap up. It can have a massive gap down. It may not even do anything. Who knows, bro? So 707, 706 is what I'm keeping an eye out for on MU with the room down to 700 for a break below that. So next up is Meta. I think Meta's like the cleanest setup we have as far as a big watch list go. As far as like a good watch list setup goes, if you put this on the 4 hour, you could see that we are in a tight. Well, not a tight. Tight's definitely not it, but we are in a consolidation on Meta. We have been stuck between 625 and 592 at the bottom here, right? 592 is where the gap resumes on Meta, and we've been having trouble getting even below 596, 597. On Meta, we've been having a hard time closing above 623-ish. So for Meta here, I'm looking at the gap that starts at 625 that has room with the gap ending at 663, 664-ish, and then we have a gap to the bottom side at 592 that ends at 575. So those are two ways to look at Meta. I'm not really biased towards either one. It's just whichever comes, and if it's ahead of the market, if it's weak against the market, whichever one, then I'll look to take advantage of. But for the meantime, I'm not going to play any of the in-between stuff, but those are the two areas that I'll be looking at for Meta. And then last but not least, everyone's go-to stock is Tesla. Now, Tesla's a little bit tricky here. You guys know I mention this every single time now at this point, and for those who are in stock hours, you guys understand. Tesla here, it's a very versatile stock. You can trade you can trade levels on this from pre-market based on how strong it is or even how weak it is. So for the meantime, I don't have any levels on this. It's just like kind of like a honor of mention of honor here with Tesla. So like I said, no very specific levels. I am interested here on the low that we made on this day. We haven't been below 420 in a while, roughly a week, and just based on how strong Tesla has been, right? So hopefully we can see some of that continuation without the market, and the market pushes and Tesla can stay weak or doing its own thing. It's even better. It makes Tesla look a lot cleaner. So for the meantime, Tesla roughly in that area. If not, then it's kind of looking like a botched setup for Tesla, and just have to wait and see how this looks pre-market. So, but yeah, with that being said, that is about it for the watch list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Very short, very sweet and simple, nothing too complicated. Trying to keep things very minimalized for you guys because there really isn't anything too crazy for this week. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the watch list. Before you go though, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We'd really appreciate that. With that being said, hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your Sunday and have a fantastic week. Peace out.